Amazing. That was incredible, Irene. Thanks so much for kind of walking us through that and walking us through your process. Um, so I guess this is a good time to dive into some questions from our community members that they've kind of sent to us over this past week.
Yeah.
So let's just jump straight into it. One of our community members wants to know, I would love to hear how you narrowed down your data viz focus to books. And also, what else have you been tempted to visualize?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think we kind of touched upon that. I guess it was kind of accidental, honestly. It was like, yeah, I had lots of time to read. I found the Bookstagram community. And then at the same time, I was like, I had a sudden urge to do more personal projects and like be more creative. And so when I was actually like doing a bunch of research on like data visualizations and stuff, I came across one of and like got very much inspired by Nadine Bremer's work. If you've ever heard of her, if you haven't, go search her up. She's amazing.
Right.
And one of her works that she did was on Lord of the Rings, and I thought that was like super cool. I mean, Lord of the Rings is okay. She did her visualization on like the movies part of it,
Mm,
but it's like Lord of the Rings is still like books basically, and it's
yeah.
based on books.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I have never seen anyone like do an analysis on some of the books that I really love to read. And so I figured, yeah, I have like the data analysis skills needed to analyze these books. I love books. I love data visualizations. Let me try to merge it together
Yeah.
and come up with interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as for what else I've been tempted to visualize, I don't know. I actually don't know. Yeah, I do a lot of visualizations at my work, but it doesn't really give me that same satisfaction as like creating the viz for like myself and like these like self projects. So I don't know. I don't know. I still have lots of ideas for like book related stuff. So for now, I think that's what my focus is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. We chatted about this in our first time meeting each other, but it's like I think it's so fitting that like you're really into fiction and you're really into like that's like kind of your genre because
Yeah,
everything's got like a narrative arc and you've got characters and there's just like so much that you can pull
yeah,
apart. Would you
yeah,
say?
yeah. Definitely, yeah. And then especially like the longer series that I read,
Mm,
there's so much you can do. You can do, yeah, character relationships, locations, quotations, emotions, just
yeah.
so many things you can do.
Yeah, yeah, it's so exciting. Yeah. Cool. So another community member asks, what languages or programs do you need to get into data science?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know. I feel like it depends. Like I don't think there's like one true answer.
Yeah.
Um, but like at least based on my experience and like the people I know that are in data science world, people are usually rely on Python and SQL. And so that's what I use mostly at my work. And all my friends mostly rely on Python also. So I would say those two are the two main languages to learn if you want to get into data science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And the same member actually continues his question because, in my knowledge, I think he's studying in a very similar field. So he is taking studies in that kind of data science field, and I'm not. And so I'm just acting as messenger for this next question. But you guys don't quote me on that. And like, I actually do have little knowledge of like what this all actually means. But his question was, how much of the job actually involves the exciting stuff like developing models, data viz, and machine learning versus the mundane but necessary stuff like data cleanup or ETL?
Yeah, that's also a good question. And again, I think it depends on the type of company you work for. So I think for larger companies, uh, a data scientist would probably be more focused on like developing the models and doing like the machine learning stuff. Definitely less on the data viz. Like, I don't think, other than just like normal histograms and bar plots, I don't think you do much of data viz stuff. And I don't think you do a lot of the mundane cleanup tasks of cleaning up your data, that kind of thing. On the other hand, for smaller companies like startups, like for example, the startup I'm working for, I think the data scientist is more catch-all term. So you're like putting on a bunch of hats, and you're doing some parts of everything. So what I do in my work is a lot of everything. So including cleaning data viz, developing models, machine learning, everything. And so some people prefer one versus the other. And I guess, that just, depends on who you are. I personally like getting my hands dirty in every part of it. So I think it just depends on the company, honestly.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And I guess that's so interesting to hear that, because it reflects to like kind of any type of work that you do, or like any kind of sector. I guess it's like, well, I come from more like a design, like creative sector background, but that's kind of like the same expectation. If you kind of come into a startup or like a smaller business, say, you're gonna like get your hands dirty and like do briefs from like conception to to publication, or like to finalizing. Whereas like with bigger companies, you're gonna do like one or two things, and like that's all you're gonna do. Which is like totally fine. It just depends on like what you're after, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so when you say like with bigger companies, you would do like kind of the more models and machine learning. And so are you saying that there will be like another kind of data person to do the cleanup stuff?
There's the data analyst, there's the data engineer, there's the machine learning engineer, there's the research scientist. So there's a lot of like like roles that are related to data. But is like more siloed, I guess. Whereas in a startup, data scientist normally refers to everything in the both.
Kind of like that specialists versus like generalists route. That's so interesting. Cool. Well, thank you for answering those questions. I guess we're kind of close to wrapping the session up. And super appreciative of your time on a Friday afternoon again. Do you have anything to add, or do you have kind of any advice final advice to give to anyone who might be watching?
I don't know. I think, if you're interested in data viz, I think you just gotta go just do it and try it. I mean, honestly, I have just been involved in like the last 4 months, honestly. Like I am also a newbie, honestly. So you just gotta go out and try it. Just be creative.
Love that. And lastly, I guess, where can we find you? Like, where can we say hi? And what sort of like, do you want to share any links or stuff that people can find you for?
I mean, as you mentioned, you can find me obviously in Data and Books on Instagram. You can also, I guess, find me on Discord, on the Data Garden Project Discord channel. I guess you can find me on Slack also in the Data Visualization Society.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again, Irene. This was a really lovely chat.
Again, thank you for having me. I love talking about it.
Thanks so much. And thanks for your tutorial as well. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next special series. Bye.